During the reign of Senusret II, c. 1890 BC, parties of Western Asiatic foreigners visiting the pharaoh with gifts are re-recorded, as in the tomb paintings of 12th dynasty official Khnumhot II. These foreigners, possibly Canaanites or nomads, are labeled as Amu, MW, including the leading man with a Nubian ibex labeled as Abisha the Hyksos, SW, Hyksos for Hyksos. The first known instance of the name Hyksos. 1, 2, 22, 34. Procession of the Amu, a group of West Asiatic foreigners, possibly Canaanites, labeled as Amu, MW, including the leading man with a Nubian ibex labeled as Abisha the Hyksos, SW, Hyksos for Hyksos. Tomb of 12th dynasty official Khnumhot I, at Beni Hassan, c. 1890 BC. 1, 2, 22, 34. Soon after, the Sebekhu Stle, dated to the reign of Senusret III, reign 1878-1839 BC, records the earliest known Egyptian military campaign in the Levant. The text reads, His Majesty proceeded northward to overthrow the Asiatics. His Majesty reached a foreign country of which the name was Sekmem. Then Sekmem fell, together with the wretched retinue, where Sekmem, SKMM, is thought to be Shechem, and retinue or retinue are associated with ancient Syria. 57, 58, background and arrival in Egypt. The only ancient account of the whole Hyksos period is by the Hellenistic Egyptian historian Manetho, who, however, exists only as quoted by others. 59, as recorded by Josephus. Manetho describes the beginning of Hyksos' rule thusly: a people of ignoble origin from the east, whose coming was unforeseen, had the audacity to invade the country, which they mastered by main force without difficulty or even battle. Having overpowered the Chiefs, they then savagely burnt the cities, razed the temples of the gods to the ground, and treated the whole native population with the utmost cruelty, massacring some, and carrying off the wives and children of others into slavery. Contra APNI. 75-77. 60. Electrum dagger handle of a soldier of Hyksos Pharaoh Apipi, illustrating the soldier hunting with a short bow and sword. Inscriptions. The Perfect God, the Lord of the Two Lands, Nekip Shrepipi and follower of his Lord Nehaman, found at a burial at Saqqara. 61, now at the Luxor Museum. 62, 63. Manetho's invasion narrative is nowadays rejected by most scholars. 10. It is likely that he was influenced by more recent foreign invasions of Egypt. 6. Instead, it appears that the establishment of Hyksos' rule was mostly peaceful and did not involve an invasion of an entirely foreign population. 64. Archaeology shows a continuous Asiatic presence at Avaris for over 150 years before the beginning of Hyksos' rule. 65. With gradual Canaanite settlement beginning there c. 1800 BC during the 12th dynasty. 18. Strontium isotope analysis of the inhabitants of Middle Kingdom and Second Intermediate Period. Avaris also dismissed the invasion model in favor of a migration one. Contrary to the model of a foreign invasion, the study didn't find more males moving into their region, but instead found a sex bias towards females, with a high proportion of 77% of females being non-locals. 66, 67. Manfred Biotark argues that Hyksos should be understood within our repetitive pattern of the attraction of Egypt for Western Asiatic population groups that came in search of a living in the country, especially the Delta, since prehistoric times. 65. He notes that Egypt had long depended on the Levant for expertise in areas of shipbuilding and seafaring, with possible depictions of Asiatic shipbuilders being found from reliefs from the 6th dynasty ruler Sahur. The 12th dynasty of Egypt is known to have had many Asiatic immigrants serving as soldiers, household or temple serfs, and various other jobs. Avaris in the Nile Delta attracted many Asiatic immigrants in its role as a hub of international trade and seafaring. 68. The final powerful pharaoh of the Egyptian 13th dynasty was Sekhut who died around 1725 BC, after which Egypt appears to have splintered into various kingdoms, including one based at Avaris ruled by the 14th dynasty. 11. Based on their names. This dynasty was already primarily of West Asian origin. 69. After an event in which a palace was burned. 69. The 14th dynasty would be replaced by the Hyksos 15th dynasty, which will destablish loose control over northern Egypt by intimidation or force. 70. Thus greatly expanding the area under Avaris' control. 71. King Reholt argues that the 15th dynasty invaded and displaced the 14th. However, Alexander Ilintimich argues that this is not sufficiently substantiated. 52. Biotarch interprets a slur of Neferhut III to indicate that Egypt was overrun by roving mercenaries around the time of the Hyksos' ascension to power. 72. Kingdom. Hyksos is located in northern Egypt. Avaris. Avaris Jeru. Jeru Tel El Yahudi. Tel El Yahudi Heliopolis. Heliopolis Tel Basta. Tel Basta Tel Farashah. Tel Farashah Inches. Inches Tel El Maskuta. Tel El Maskuta Tel Eritebet. Tel Eritebet Tel Es Sahaba. Tel Sahaba Memphis. Memphis Lisht. Lisht Dasyur. Dasyur Beni Hassan. Beni Hassan. Key sites of the Second Intermediate Period, in northern Egypt. West Semitic in red, Egyptian in blue. The length of time the Hyksos ruled is unclear. The fragmentary Turin king list says that there were 6 Hyksos kings who collectively ruled 108 years. 73. However, in 2018 King Reholt proposed a new reading of as many as 149 years, while Thomas Schneider proposed a length between 160 and 180 years. 74. The rule of the Hyksos overlaps with that of the native Egyptian pharaohs of the 16th and 17th dynasties, better known as the Second Intermediate Period. The area under direct control of the Hyksos was probably limited to eastern Nile Delta. 15. Their capital city was Avaris at a fork on the now dry Pelusiac branch of the Nile. Memphis may have also been an important administrative center. 75. Although the nature of any Hyksos presence there remains unclear. 15. According to Analyta Morad, other sites with likely Levantine populations or strong Levantine connections in the delta include Tel Farashah and Tel El Magad, located between Tel Basta and Avaris. 76. El Katana, southwest of Avaris, and Inshas. 77. The increased prosperity of Avaris may have attracted more Levantines to settle in the eastern delta. 64. Comel. He's at the edge of the western delta, shows Near Eastern goods but individuals mostly buried in an Egyptian style, which more it takes to mean that they were most likely Egyptians heavily influenced by Levantine traditions or, more likely, Egyptianized Levantines. 78. The site of Tel Basta, Bubastis, at the confluence of Pelusiac and Tanitic branches of the Nile, contains monuments to the Hyksos kings Khian and Apipi, but little other evidence of Levantine habitation. 79. Tel El Hadwa, Jeru, located on a branch of the Nile near the Sinai, also shows evidence of non-Egyptian presence. However, the majority of the population appears to have been Egyptian or Egyptianized Levantines. 80. Tel El Hadwa would have provided Avaris with grain and trade goods. 81. In the Wadi Tumalat, Tel El Maskuta shows a great deal of Levantine pottery and an occupation history closely correlated to the 15th dynasty. 85. Nearby Tel El Ratabar and Tel El Sahaba show possible Hyksos-style burials and occupation. 86. Tel El Yahudi, located between Memphis and the Wadi Tumilat, contains a large earthwork that may have been built by the Hyksos, as well as evidence of Levantine burials from as early as the 13th dynasty. 87. The Hyksos settlements in the Wadi Tumilat would have provided access to Sinai, the southern Levant, and possibly the Red Sea. 64. The sites Tel El Kabir, Tel Yad, Tel Foya, and Tel Jizya Tel Faraz are noted by scholars other than Maurid to contain elements of Hyksos culture, but there is no published archaeological material for them. 88. The Hyksos claimed to be rulers of both Lower and Upper Egypt, however, their southern border was marked at Hermopolis and QC. 13. Some objects might suggest a Hyksos presence in Upper Egypt, but they may have been Theban war booty or attest simply to short-term raids, trade, or diplomatic contact. 89. The nature of Hyksos' control over the region of Thebes remains unclear. 15. Most likely Hyksos' rule covered the area from Middle Egypt to southern Near Eastern-inspired diadem with heads of gazelles and a stag between stars or flowers, belonging to an elite later discovered at a tomb at Tel El Dabe, Avaris, dating from the late Hyksos period, 1648-1540 BC. 82, 83, now at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. 84, Palestine. 90, older scholarship believed, due to the distribution of Hyksos goods with the names of Hyksos rulers in places such as Baghdad and Knossos, that Hyksos had ruled a vast empire, but it seems more likely to have been the result of diplomatic gift exchange and far-flung trading networks. 91, 15, wars with the 17th dynasty. The conflict between Thebes and the Hyksos is known exclusively from pro-Theban sources, and it is difficult to construct a chronology. 16. BC sources propagandistically portray the conflict as a war of national liberation. This perspective was formerly taken by scholars as well, but is no longer thought to be accurate. 92, 93. Hostilities between the Hyksos and the Theban 17th dynasty appear to have begun during the reign of Theban king Seqenenre-Ptah. Seqenenre-Ptah's mummy shows that he was killed by several blows of an axe to the head, apparently in battle with the Hyksos. 94. It is unclear why hostilities may have started, but the much later fragmentary New Kingdom tale, the quarrel of Apophis and Seqenenre, blames the Hyksos ruler Apophis for initiating the conflict by demanding that Seqenenre-Ptah remove a pool of hippopotamuses near Thebes. 95. However, Thais is a satire on the Egyptian storytelling genre of the king's novel rather than a historical text. 94. A contemporary inscription at Wadi El Hol may also refer to hostilities between Seqenenre and Apophis. 72. Mummified head of Seqenenre-Ptah bearing axe wounds. The common theory is that he died in a battle against the Hyksos. 95. 3 years later, c. 1542 BC, 96, Seqenenre-Ptah's successor Cammus initiated a campaign against several cities loyal to the Hyksos, the account of which is preserved on 3 monumental stelae set up at Karnak. 97, 72, 98. The first of the 3 Carnarvon tablet includes a complaint by Cammus about the divided and occupied state of Egypt. To what effect do I perceive it, my might, while a ruler is in Avaris and another in Cush, I, sitting joined with an Asiatic and a Nubian, each man having his own portion of this Egypt, sharing the land with me. There is no passing him as far as Memphis, the water of Egypt. He has possession of Hermopolis, and no man can rest, being deprived by the levies of the Setiyu. I shall engage in battle with him and I shall slit his body, for my intention is to save Egypt, striking the Asiatics. 99. Following a common literary device, Cammus' advisors are portrayed as trying to dissuade the king, but the king attacks anyway. 97. He recounts his destruction of the city of Nafruzi as well as several other cities loyal to the Hyksos. On A2 Camus claims to have captured Avaris, but returned to Thebes after capturing a messenger between Apipi and the king of Kush. 94. Camus appears to have died soon afterward, c. 1540 BC. 96. Ahmose continued the war against the Hyksos, most likely conquering Memphis, Churu and Heliopolis early in his reign, the latter two of which are mentioned in an entry of the Rind mathematical papyrus.